I'm T.
I'm James.
I'm Roscoe.
And we are
the
ChoppedByT
ChoppedByT
podcast.
And if you're watching this right now, I need you to go get our book, 5 Fear is Vitality, 5 Key Strategies to Turn Your Fear into Strength. It's available now on Amazon. Thank you.
What's up? This is ChoppedByT podcast. I'm your boy Scoe. And today we got another strong black woman on the show, a loving mother, businesswoman. Tisha, what's up?
What's up?
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
That's good. I'm making it. I can't complain. If I did, shit, it wouldn't matter, wouldn't it?
Doesn't matter at all.
I want to get straight into it. I want to talk about, first start off talking about your business.
Okay.
No Flash.
So it's No Flash Co. Co stands for collab. So we're photography and videography, trying to make it into a group, but we do both at the moment. So I co-own that with my boyfriend, Javon.
Okay.
And so he does a lot of like the automotive photography and the videography as well. And I do more like portraits, lifestyle shoots, outdoors, and
So
stuff like
he
that.
take a lot of pictures. Okay.
Yeah, so we both manage a couple social medias, for different companies. That's more in like the automotive side of things though. But my passion is people and, catching moments and making magic of that.
How is that working with your significant other? I always thought that would be kind of like hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a balance, especially when there's like so many other things to juggle in life. Like we both got kids. We both work full-time jobs as well. His full-time incorporates the photography, videography as well. But mine is in a totally different realm. So it's like, we just have to make, just carve out time for each other. And
Do it get a little rough for y'all sometimes having a full-time job and still trying to do your passion? Because I know for me, it get rough sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in my job. So I work in the, I've been in the mental health field for about 8 years. And so now my focus is, it's like equal parts of mental health, criminal justice, and recovery. So I work with a lot of individuals trying to rehabilitate them from whether it's, substance abuse things, mental health, sometimes a little bit of both. And so it's taxing, just like an emotionally draining job. And so with it just physically being like a full-time job, emotionally draining, him working the full-time, us both just trying to, balance things, it definitely makes it.
Was like a halfway house type of thing?
No, so we refer out to Halfway House, but we are like a program. So we help people who have pretty much like committed crimes, if it's due to their mental health or their substance abuse problem, we try to rehabilitate them rather than just like leave them in jail. So we are busting people out of jail every day, and they can come and do our program. But yeah, it's a cool job, and I like it.
I noticed you said both of y'all had kids. I wanted to ask you, that's why I want to hit on motherhood. How did motherhood change you?
Ooh, it just shook me to my core.
'Cause I know for some people it changed for the best or the worst.
Definitely for the better. In the beginning, I think it made me a little more savage. Like I've always been, just like a to the point type of person, a little too cutthroat sometimes, but that just kind of intensified everything.
Right.
Because, I was just so like mama bear mode, like just protecting, him and, but it also made me a little bit softer in other ways too. So just more selfless, more loving, just like really learning how to switch my whole way of living from, it just all being about me and just whatever I want to do and going out and, partying and stuff like that. You just can't with a kid. And so in my head, the whole time I was pregnant, I was like, I can't wait to, meet my baby. I'm going to love him and it's going to be great. And I think I still thought I was still going to do the other things I used to do, like, going out, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. But it was a hard thing to swallow as far as just, I can't make this event because, I got to do this, or, I can't drink because I'm trying to breastfeed, or, things like that. So just going through that transition of like a new Tisha was the hardest part. And that's kind of the time frame where I was like, not happy and postpartum and all that stuff. But there was light at the end of the tunnel, made it through. And now I'm just like more of a well-rounded person, I would say.
A lot of people take that for granted though, that postpartum stuff. People, and I know a lot of men sleep on it. They don't think it's like real.
Yeah, it's definitely real.
Women really go through that.
They definitely do. I think it's just a combination of, like I said, for me, it was like a lot of mental changes, that I had to make. But definitely just you know, your physiology, like your makeup and, you know, all kinds of hormones are like coming in and leaving out. And if you're breastfeeding, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
And that's stressful in itself. And, you know, just all the troubles that you go through, lack of sleep. I think it's just a combination of everything, you know.
Did you lose a lot of friends when it come to like hanging out and stuff like that?
Not really. I went through some changes with friends, but I think at that point in my life, I pretty much had like a solid core group, and you know, our relationships look a little bit different, but definitely not. I don't think I lost anybody, and if I did, that I'm not thinking about it, they were meant to be lost. So.
When it came to dating, how long did it take you to like let a man in and like be close to your son?
Oh, that's a hard one too. I can't really give you a good time frame, but definitely I was doing more dating outside the house, not really like having anybody come over and stuff like that pretty much until I knew it could get serious. So whether that was like a month or we've been on a couple dates and, you know, but I don't really date around a lot. So it was, you know, there's, you know, times where I was like, you know, definitely not letting you meet my child.
Right. You just automatically knew like this ain't happening.
But you know, but my boyfriend now, he's amazing. Like I said, he's got experience with, you know, his daughter is 13, so he's been doing this a while. So, you know, that helped me kind of trust him a little bit more before, you know, they got introduced. So
he was already prepped. He knew what to do.
Yeah, he knew what's going on. He helps me a lot too with the parenting thing.
I wanted to ask you, when you know, you ain't got to talk about the passing of your child's father, but how did you help him navigate through that? What was that like?
Who? Which?
Your son.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, that was just a terrible, terrible time. I think it was. Kids have a different perspective, a different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
So, for me being kind of like physically or like visibly, let me say that, visibly more like sad and grieving. And, you know, I'd known his dad for way more than 10 years, but we had been together like 9-10 years. So he was like a huge part of my life, of Deuce's life. And we were friends at the end of the day. You know, we had been apart for maybe like a couple years or so, but we still maintain that, you know, that contact.
Great at
co-parenting. Get him every day.
Yeah.
Amazing co-parenting. Like, he's an amazing father. So for me, you know, it was, I think just, it's odd to say, but it's like, you know, I've known Deuce's dad longer than Deuce did.
Right.
But of course they've got that like inhumane bond that was just like, they're just alike. But a child's understanding of death is just way different. So I think for me, it affected me to where when I'm trying to explain to him what happened, I'm wondering, does he understand? Does he know what's happening? He got sad and he's definitely cried and we both shed some tears together. But I think the biggest part for him was just understanding that, you know, that his dad lives in heaven now. He won't be back on earth. He says that a lot. He's like, Mommy, can I go to heaven? And you know,
go
it's
visit,
just like, so it's just hard conversations that had to be had. And my friends sometimes ask me, how did you even, you know, like some of the questions that he asked that they overhear, they're just like, girl, I would not know like what to say. And I don't, and there's no script for it. But, you know, just kind of thinking of it as, he's a child. He's still learning. He's still trying to understand life in general. So, you know, we just, you know, look at pictures sometimes. We look at videos. We honor him and, you know, talk about memories that they've had together. And so I think that's a big, important part of, you know, helping any child or really person, I guess, navigate through that, through loss.
Yeah, I think it's so amazing that you met a guy who already had a child. And I want to know, what's this like, though, like dealing with somebody, you know, basically a blended family. I never met anyone really that had to deal with it to tell me about that. Talk to me about that. How'd it go?
So I feel like we're both a little different. I don't know. We're both just really open and like honest and loving. And so it's just like, you know, when I met his daughter, Ava, it was like, I'm the type of person that it's hard for me to like switch roles, I guess, if that makes sense. It's like, sure, I'm a mom, but I'm a mom to like a young boy, and he's just like going crazy and talking to everybody and doing stuff like that. So, you know, when I was kind of in that mind frame of like, you know, meeting her and, you know, him and Deuce meeting and getting acquainted, they just kind of picked up right away and, you know, did guy stuff and stuff like that. But for, you know, me and him having like a preteen, it was just like, oh my God, is she, you know, is she gonna like woman. Me? Is she, yeah. But I mean, she's just the most amazing, sweet, kind-hearted. Like I think she told me she loved me the first time we met. And so for me, like, I'm just, you know, I'm not like a very like verbal and like openly like lovey-dovey type person. So I was just like, you know, like kind of frozen. But it's just like blossomed into something amazing, and we're just like one big happy family right now. So
I used to be so scared to date a woman with a child. It wasn't because she had a child. It was just I didn't want to get emotionally attached to the child. Just if the relationship went, you know, left, it's like I'm still attached to this child. But I don't want nothing to do with the mama, but I feel like I'm abandoning the baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And like they might feel like, you know, or think a certain way about you, especially depending on the age or something. But yeah, I don't know, it's just been a risk, you know, to take as far as like, you know, if we didn't make it, then, you know, losing that relationship, you know, him with my son and me with his daughter. So it was just I think it was just important that we made sure, you know, that this felt right, this could go somewhere, you know. I feel like you kind of know. Yeah. You know. So we just day by day, you know.
Marriage in the future?
Possibly. Possibly.
I'm the same way. I've been in a relationship for about 4 years. I'm ready to take that step.
Okay.
I'm ready to take that step. It's like at this point, what we doing? You know, I don't want her to feel like I'm wasting her time. Like it's been 4 years. Sooner or later, she's gonna be looking upside my head like, nigga, what we doing?
You gotta put a ring on it.
So, and that's what I want to ask you is, do you feel like it's supposed to be like a time limit on it? Is it a time limit?
I don't.
You just go with the flow? I
go with the flow. I've had different views and ideas of marriage in the past, especially. This is probably the first time that, and it's not always been, you know, the other person, but it's been the first time that I feel like I'm mature enough and I'm like, you know, set in myself enough to be, you know, a valuable, you know, wife or partner or whatever. So I just feel like you just have to do what's right for you in your relationship. And, you know, if your woman is putting the pressure on you and you love her, you better not lose her, you know. But if it's just, you know, chill and y'all are just figuring things out, then probably don't want to take that step if everybody's not ready, you know.
Yeah, make it work. I seen some shit on Twitter. I want to ask a woman about this. Oh. It was some silly shit, but you seem mature, and I want to know what you think. This girl said, she didn't say exactly like this, but she said finding out her boyfriend wasn't the leader of his friends turned her off.
So he wasn't like the wolf of the wolf pack.
I guess that's how she perceived it.
And that turned her off?
Yeah, it bothered me because I'm like, it made me feel like, and I read the thread, of course, women like agreeing. Yeah, women agreeing. I'm like, do they even know how men work? Like male friends work?
Probably not.
Like, for instance, if me and my boys want to do something, it ain't, oh, the leader this, the leader that. It's a call. Hey, we having a barbecue. All right, bro, I'm going to bring this, I'm going to bring that. It ain't a person telling me, delegating, you do this, you do that, you do that. Now, maybe if we doing business together, that's different. Yeah. It's going to be a leader. But that kind of bothered me. And it's like we be having low-level conversations about relationships, black people. And that kind of bothered me.
Yeah, that's an odd way of thinking or putting it. I feel like, you know, I've heard where it's like, you know, a girl starts dating a guy and then she meets the friend. She's like, you know, he's not the attractive friend. And so she's like, dang, I should have, you know.
Yeah. But, yeah, I see that all the time.
But I've never heard the wolf pack one, or the leader type thing. I feel like as long as if he's leading the household, that's all he, you know, needs to be worrying about. It's like, I feel like dynamics in guy friendships, sometimes it's just like they're more worried about that side of their life than with the woman. So it's like for her to be highly concerned about, you know, what he's doing with the friends, it's like you ought to be planning dates and trips and, you know, what do y'all have going on at home, you know?
It made me feel like, oh, you just wanted to fuck with his friend. You seen something that you liked in his friend, you wanted to fuck with his friend.
Maybe she decided to put it that way, but
that shit was crazy. And I heard you say something about the man leading the household. What you think about the whole, this is a conversation too, the whole 50-50 thing?
Mm-hmm. As far as just in general or bills?
Bills, financial shit.
So, at the end of the day, let me just say this. You just got to do what works for you.
I always say that.
That's just really the answer. That's should be the only answer, because people try to put these guidelines out on how people should live their lives, and it's like, not everybody can do that. Not everybody's working this type of job or making this certain amount of money, or, they're stay-at-home moms, they're stay-at-home dads. It's just, it just depends. And, as long as you got a system that works for your household and, egos aren't in the way, then really it shouldn't matter at the end of the day. But I feel like as far as effort in a relationship, both people should put in 100%.
100%.
As far as bills, if you're married, it's probably going to go into the same account at some point. So it's like, why does that matter? But I know men out here that want to pay all the bills, and that's great.
And make them feel better about themselves.
Yeah. But I feel like when a man is like too firm or like resistant in the like sense that he doesn't want to do anything more than half, then that's a red flag, I feel like. Just because to me that says something different about his mental, his way of thinking. He's not like taking like the whole unit into consideration. He's like, I'm only paying half because what about me at the end of the day? If this doesn't work out, I didn't put too much in. We kind of like did the same. So I feel like red flag probably for, anybody, just wanting to do that 50-50, but we just do what works for you.
I'm about to say, at the end of the day, it's about keeping y'all business between each other and making this shit work. It don't matter. Like, whatever y'all do to make this ship sail, do it.
That's what you got to do. Yeah.
So when it comes to you raising your child, is it, with your boyfriend, are there any boundaries? Like, I always thought it would be tough for me to discipline another woman's child. Like, how do you go about dealing with it?
So when I told you about like us kind of coming together as a family and issues and stuff that we face, so that was one of the main or the big ones when we finally kind of solidified us as a unit, especially when we moved in together after a while. That was a big thing that I was like protective over him. I didn't want anybody telling my child anything, so, and then especially, my son's dad was here. I know that territorial, thing was going on. And honestly, like, I'm such a loyal person. It's like, here I am in a whole another relationship and I'm still like, his dad is over there. Like, this is not something you should be in. But, it took a lot of time and a lot of conversations with, not just my boyfriend, but, family members, friends and stuff like that, advice on things. And a lot of time in all those conversations just to understand, like, he wants the best for our household. And he is a type of person that's, like, he's very loving, but it's like right is right, wrong is wrong. And so it just took a lot of conversations for me to feel comfortable. Let me just say it, for me to feel comfortable with him doing any type of discipline. It's never anything crazy. Deuce is actually an amazing child. He's like smart and Deuce with the juice. He's smart. He's, he just asks so many questions, but he's not like the typical, I don't think he's ever thrown a tantrum. He's never like wild out like that. So I feel like that's helped, but it did take a while. That was probably the hardest thing, with us joining families was, and even me to feel comfortable, talking to, his daughter about certain things, certain womanly things that, or if she, didn't clean up something in the kitchen, it's like I would be going to him like, I don't want to say anything to her, I don't want to hurt her feelings because she's so kind and nice. Right. But I'm more of like the tough type of mom, so I'm like treading lightly. But he was, encouraging me. And then I finally got to that point where I was accepting of, everything he had to offer. And it's honestly made us greater. He's like, taught Deuce a lot of things, and they do guy stuff in the garage and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to having kids in the future. And I pay attention. I got a child, actually.
Okay.
his name is Blake. He's not biologically mine, but I accepted him as mine.
Gotcha. How old is he?
He's 7. He just turned 7.
Nice.
And kids are so pure.
They are.
They so pure, and you learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just be so afraid sometimes. Like, I don't want nobody else to mistreat them.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep asking you questions. You know, how y'all dynamic is with the kid. Like, ain't nobody gonna treat him like I'm gonna treat him. You get what I'm saying? So that's always on my mind.
Right.
Like, I know you probably deal with that too. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it just took, trust and just, watching how certain situations played out. And, of course, just accounts of, hey, did y'all have fun today? What did you do? And, I wouldn't be with a person if I felt like, there was ever going to be any kind of like shadiness going on, period, especially with my child, because like I told you before, savage mama mode will come into play. But, just watching those situations and, really getting to know that person and taking your time is like the biggest thing with that. But I'm sure you found like you've learned a lot of things from him too.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm always like sometimes questions that come from dudes. I'm like
where you get this from?
Where did you get? Yeah, like how did you know this? Where did you get this from?
YouTube.
That's it. Yeah.
How you deal with that? Do you monitor his how he be on YouTube and stuff?
Yeah, so he's got the kid version. There's like a YouTube Kids app. And so he's got that one. He's not allowed to do the regular one. Yeah. But there's still things that just, even if it's like a kid show or like, I don't like Peppa Pig because she's throwing tantrums. I don't like, I don't like him to watch certain.
Reactive behavior.
Yeah, and like Caillou and stuff like that. He's always crying about something. I'm like, no, we're not doing Caillou. So it's just, just listening out, like keeping that ear open when he's on the iPad. But he's getting more into games and stuff now. So
he's going to be a gamer.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, we're a gamer, sports guy, so.
Do you make him go outside sometimes? I had to make my son get off that shit and go outside.
Yeah, like we all go out and do stuff as a family. We go to like car shows and stuff like that. He does martial arts now, so that's been a nice, active thing to keep him. He loves it, so I can tell he's not gonna like have that issue of just like being a couch potato, and but I do definitely, I think a lot of parents have to make it intentional to like, and also lead, you know, that example of like, if you're sitting on the couch on your phone, what do you expect him to do or her to do? So
that's what I see a lot now. I don't see parents actually raising their children. They're letting the electronics, the iPads, the games, they're not making them be children or letting them be children. Like they letting social media grow them up.
Yeah,
I hate that.
That's dangerous business for sure. Yeah, so we don't, too much time on the iPad. I don't have like a certain, hours a day that he can be on or has to get off. But, that time when it's like, okay, you've been doing that all day long. Let's get up. Let's do something else. So,
I want to ask you, when it comes to your relationship, do you let your friends in your business?
It just depends. It depends on the friend and it depends on the business. So, I'm pretty much an open book, and there's not a lot that's off limits with me. But there's certain things where it's like, sometimes if I'm still processing something and I don't want to, it's like if I don't even know how I feel about a certain situation, I'll wait. Like I won't bring it up, to anybody really. I'll just kind of sit with it and take my time with it because I don't want to talk to somebody and they kind of put their opinion in my head and like let that affect me. So, I definitely, I wouldn't say let them all in the business, but definitely, if it's an issue that I'm struggling with, like with the parenting thing, I know I talk to a couple of my friends with kids and stuff like that. But other stuff, not so much. It just depends on the friend.
That's the point I'm getting to too. I really don't like telling nobody nothing now because it's like, like you said, I only want to deal with my thoughts, how I'm going to deal with this situation. I never want to go into a situation where I'm using somebody else's thoughts on the person I love. It's up to us to figure this out and make this shit work.
Yeah, and then depending on what it is, I mean, we all know this. I'm sure plenty of people have said this, but depending on the situation, you don't want your loved one or your friend looking at your significant other different. So, it's important to, like, let me just make sure,
at the gatherings together, this person looking upside their head because you done told them something that you done got over 3 months ago.
Time for that.
They still holding on to it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's harder for, other people to let stuff go because, they don't know what's really going on in the relationship, and you've got that love component, that attachment to that person. So even if you're dealing with a rough time or some bad shit, it's like, at the end of the day, you want to be with them if you're still with them. So it's easier for you to stay, I feel like, than it is for your friends to, like, not look at them crazy.
And that's how I am. So when my friends tell me something about their significant other, I try to detach myself from that emotional part of it because it really has nothing to do with me. You really just want to vent to me at this time.
Right.
And I think people need to realize when your friends just want to vent to you instead of, you taking on their problems and now you projecting it on other people around them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I like to, whenever a friend is venting to me, I'm just like, do you want my honest opinion? Or, it's just as simple as asking sometimes. It's like, do you want the nice version, the honest opinion, or me to just listen? Because, and then you kind of learn with certain friends that you might listen to them all day long and you talk to them and you're, like, really giving your best, like, advice to them. And after you're thinking, like, I killed that, they're going to go in, and do something, with the relationship that's, like, just unheard of. And then it's the same. Same old shit. So it's like you just waste a lot of energy, a lot of time. And, you know what I mean? It's just, that's what I had to learn. I had to learn how to deal with that. That shit pisses me off when a person constantly come talking to me about the same thing, right? And you give them advice after advice, but they keep doing the same shit. Yeah. And it's like, is it right for me to get mad and, like, go off on this person, or should I just tell them stop talking to me about this shit? I've done that before. I mean, I wouldn't say go off on them, but that's just me being nice. But yeah, you can definitely, I mean, your friends, it's like, depending on the friend, that might be how they have to hear it. It's like, where it sticks, it's like, look, you've been coming to me with this for years. You're not going nowhere. Right. Just let it go. Yeah.
That shit bothers me so much.
Yeah.
Though, like,
I used to get bothered by that, but then I realized, it's like, I mean, I work with people so much. I'm just like, I've seen the same issues go on for years and years, and my job was to actively help them with said issue, and still sometimes nothing gets better. And then sometimes all of a sudden it's just like, an epiphany. So you really don't affect people as much as you think you do. But if they really want that, I think nowadays, just to protect my time and my peace and energy, I'm just like, do you want me to answer, or am I wasting my breath? So
you mentioned your job, and you said, I think earlier you said something about you've been in the mental health field also. I was in the mental health field for a while too. Okay. Dealing with all those people sometimes, do it kind of get to you? Do it bother? Because I had to leave because it was bothering me. I started feeling, because I worked at a psych ward in Nashville.
MTMHI?
It was Skyline Madison. Okay. And just being around all those different spirits, people being depressed, people bipolar. So it really used to get to me.
You saw the worst of it.
Yeah.
That's where we would send people when,
so we was
or one of the
from
places.
Y'all. Okay.
One of the places, yeah. It just depends. I worked for a outpatient mental health facility for like 7 years. And so, sometimes we had crisis calls. Sometimes, it was just a regular, I've got anxiety, I need help, I need medication, But those severe situations are rough. And then years and years of just any of that type of work that's like, you kind of have to tap into another level of empathy, sympathy, and all those things. I definitely got burnt out. Yeah. So around year 7, that's when I left. And I went and did something kind of boring. I was like, I just want to go and, just sit at a computer. I worked from home for a while, did some corporate HR. And I don't know, I just got to the point there where I felt like I kind of missed the I don't know, maybe I just needed a break. But I just got to feeling like, first of all, just working from home, I was like, I need to get out of this house. Right. It got to a point where I was like, I haven't put on real clothes and I don't know how long, so I got to get out.
Just sitting there in the robe on the computer.
Yeah. It was just not healthy for me. So, but, I wanted that more fulfilling type of work and job again. And so getting back into the field with this, I've never done mental health with like that spin of like recovery or somebody dealing with substance abuse and things. So it was a nice new challenge. And then it was also, on a smaller scale. So I feel like I get burnt out less now, and I'm more well equipped to like deal with it and like cut it off if I'm getting too, emotional or taking too much work home and stuff like that. So
we used to deal with people with substance abuse all the time. I didn't know people going through withdrawals could be so bad.
Yeah,
one day I had
they can kill you.
Yeah, I had to monitor a dude one time for like, I think 6 hours of the night just to make sure he didn't like pass out or something. Like he was getting off pills and alcohol at the same time.
Wow. Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. One time I heard my boss was on the phone with somebody that was dealing with that and about to go into rehab. And I think he was dealing with alcohol. And when it made it real for me when she was telling the person on the phone that was trying to help him, give him some alcohol, but not too much, but it's like if they were just to hide all the alcohol in the house and just completely cut him off before he got, in a medical facility where they could deal with that, he could have died. So it's a real.
The nurse told me back in the day, they used to keep beer in the facility just in case something like that happened. The turning point for me when I decided to leave mental health, it was when I seen this guy come in. He was suffering from some type of depression. He was normal though, but it got so bad, it went into what they call, I think, clinical depression, like almost psychosis. And the shit was just so bizarre. I couldn't deal with it no more.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was he like seeing things or just talking crazy? Or?
He was talking crazy. It was like, we was in the hallway. I was walking because they had me on what you call a 1-to-1. And that means I just got to watch him all day. I worked the night shift 12 hours. Got to watch him for 12 hours. So we were just walking down the hallway. And all of a sudden, he just started taking down his pants and finna sit down in his chair. He's, I'm finna take a shit. I'm like, what? Like, no, you can't do that right now, dude.
We went
from talking about banks and stuff because he was actually from where I was from. Well, he was from Jackson. And we went to talk about banks and stuff like that to, I'm finna take a shit right here. And it just the switch. Yeah. I'm like, this is crazy. It would have bothered me because I had a little emotional connection to him because we was from the same area.
Yeah,
almost.
you want to see him do good.
Yeah, and it was like just from clinical depression. They said he got it from like cheating on his wife or something like that, and the guilt made him go into like a deep depression.
Wow. Yeah, I know if depression is bad enough, it can definitely have psychotic features. Usually they, come and go. And with medication, like managing the depression is like the important step in like keeping those, episodes, I guess, at bay. But it's taxing. You have to be a special person to work in that field for sure.
Yeah, for sure. How's your mental health?
Well, no, I like to call myself crazy, but I'm really not. No, but it's definitely working there helped me come to more like a comfortable place with mental health and just, I've never just, been bad off or anything like that, but there's been times like I've sought therapy, which I think more people should do. I think that's a taboo, topic. But I've definitely been to a therapist. I've sought help every now and then, usually just when things get, like when life gets really bad and hard or like things are happening that you just can't, you just need a little help.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, somebody to talk to that's, not one of the friends that, could be a relationship, could just be, work stress and things like that. It's sometimes just talking to somebody that can't say anything, can't hold it against you, that can help you, find some skills that'll help is very important. I think more people should do that.
I've been talking to my mom. I think I'm going to get a therapist because I had like an episode probably about a month ago. I just felt, it was my first time feeling like this in a long time. I felt it in my childhood because I was going through things, so that's why I was able to recognize what it was. But I felt so overwhelmed with life at one point. It was just like I wanted to like quit everything. I wanted to quit my job. I wanted to break up with my girlfriend. I wanted to stop doing ChoppedByT. Like the shit just was overwhelming.
It was too much.
It was just too much. I don't know where that came from. I don't know what triggered it, but I just felt like that in that moment. And I got in the shower, took my deep breaths and stuff like that to calm down. And I used to be that stupid ass dude. I don't need no therapy. I need therapy because it's coming from somewhere, and I don't want to feel that feeling again.
Yeah.
You know?
And even if, some people think going to therapy is just going to magically solve all their problems. Like, okay, I went to therapy, so, I'm good. But, I mean, it's more about, you hearing out loud what you're going through and that other person giving you some ideas and tools to help with that. And a lot of the times we have to kind of talk out loud through what's going on. Like, we make realizations when we kind of, like, say things out loud. So definitely I would say, go talk to somebody from the mental health, person. It's like,
I couldn't believe I used to be that person. Like, I don't need therapy. Or I used to think like anxiety was fake. People just bullshit and they just want some attention.
Like an excuse to do. I've heard it all. It's I'm glad to see more Black people coming into being okay with like getting help with that type of stuff, because it's just one less thing that we need to worry about.
I think with me, what it was, I suffer from a nihilistic behavior sometimes. Like sometimes I think none of this shit matters. It's like, what are we doing all this shit for? People really don't. Deep. Yeah, like people don't care. We just specks in the universe. So I deal with that a lot. Often. So that's why I'm gonna go get me some therapy.
Okay. But that speck in the universe thing, that's funny because it's always like when you go, when you travel and you go to different places and I have a friend that's always like, I love going to the ocean because it just makes me feel, it was like in a good way, it makes me feel small because it's like, just look at this amazing, world that we live in. And yes, stuff is fucked up. Like I get that, and people don't care and people are shit sometimes, but, you just have to work on yourself enough to, to just be strong in yourself and you care about your people and you make sure they're good and make sure you're good, So I guess flipping that and just, sure we're all just a small speck in the big universe, but, that can be beautiful too. Yeah. So you got a lot of world to explore. So
that's why I just try to, like you said, enjoy all the tangible things. Like I look forward to traveling and stuff like that. Like, just try not to. You sit around and you get in your head that idle time. Yeah. It'll get to you.
That's the devil's time.
Yeah.
Got to stay away from that.
Look, we didn't talk about mental health, jobs, motherhood. Listen, I thank you for coming out and talking to me.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. This is the ChoppedByT podcast where we get real, raw, authentic conversation. Thank you. Until next time.